TJ here again, going solo here at the Michigan Conservative Roundtable. For starters, I'd just like to update on events here in Michigan. Last month in April, we had a couple protests. The first one was April 15th, Operation Gridlock. Guess a few thousand cars showed up and caused a traffic jam in Lansing. Good for them. And then just last week on April 30th, there was a second protest, and I believe it was organized by the same group, and again they showed up. This time a few of them actually entered into the state capitol building and made their feelings known. Both have gotten national attention. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend either one of them because I'm still working. I would just ask my brothers and sisters to exercise prudence and restraint. Just please don't give the Democrats anything to point at. So you hate to prove them right in a way. Republican lawmakers, they're at odds with our Democrat Governor Whitmer. State legislature wouldn't extend the current state of emergency stay-at-home declaration, rather brought a lawsuit against Governor Whitmer. Her response was to initiate another state of emergency and extending the stay until end of May, and in some ways expanding her power. Governor Whitmer is acting like the king that they, the Democrats, accused President Trump of acting. She doesn't like being protested. That's pretty obvious. And now for my rant on a society gone mad. I honestly don't even know where to begin. From not being able to find and buy toilet paper still, to the fact that that one time when I went into Dunham's, all the ammunition was gone from the shelves. Didn't walk out of there with even a single box. Virtually all the rifles were gone, shotguns were gone, most of the handguns were gone under the display case, and that was right before all the non-essential stores were closed because of Governor Whitmer's executive order. So now you can't really shop when you want to shop, where you want to shop. You can't buy what you want or what you feel you need. And now, if you fail to follow the stringent guidelines of the nanny state government, you're vilified. You're a very bad person. You must have your fanny spanked. All this over a 2% mortality rate. Taking a page from the gun control advocates, I think they've put the onus on the establishments, the produce markets, pharmacies, whereas they're kind of making those establishments be the strong arm of the nanny state's will. Meaning, if you can't go into the stores if you don't have a mask on. Which, by the way, the mask doesn't even have to be of surgical grade. You see people walking around with handkerchiefs and bandanas around their mouth and nose and mouth, and in some ways that's worse than having nothing, because all it does is trap the bacteria. In any event, if you don't have something on, you're a bad person, and you must be banished from whatever shopping establishment. It is put neighbor against neighbor. Just the other day, my wife went into a store, and a woman was screaming at her out of control because she failed to heed the dictates of the nanny state. All this because of a 2% mortality rate. I'm still fired up about not being able to buy an Easter lily for my wife. I ain't going to stop beating that drum, by the way, okay? I have to commend Menards for putting all the Easter lilies on display with a big sign giving Governor Whitmer full credit, leaving them there on display as they die. When you think about it, they could have put them in some obscure corner or back in storage or something, but oh no, they kept them on display for all to see. And for that, I thought that was pretty cool what Menards did. All because of a 2% mortality rate. sometimes I get so frustrated here in Michigan. It's so screwed up. We got enough people that was willing to put Whitmer into office, and you know, once she got there, and here's another drum I'm not going to stop beating. Once she got into the office, first thing she wanted to do was institute a 45-cent tax on a gallon of gasoline. You know, I think of states like Tennessee, they're already 30 cents less a gallon than we are. I know because I travel down there a bit. And people here in Michigan, they seem to be just fine with that craziness. You know, I think how I can't buy an Easter lily, but if I was a drunken gambler, I would have been good to go here in Michigan. You know, all this over a 2% mortality rate. My wife and I drove down the street the other day. I see some people working, other establishments closed, lights out. I just kind of commented how messed up it was that summarily people are decided who's essential, and you know, it's decided who's essential and who isn't, just with some wave of the hand. Well, you're not essential, so you don't get to work. It's just messed up. I've mentioned in a previous video how as I've been going to and from work, I kept a letter on my person from the company saying that I was working had an essential job. And the thought comes to mind, you know, some commissar stopping me and asking papers. I think of all the companies and people, they're financially ruined, perhaps even for life. You got the PPP loan. People coming back to work, but there's no work to return to, so they're going to be paid to not work now. All this because of a 2% mortality rate. Nanny state is full speed ahead. And again, enough people just seem to be fine with it. Look out, Greece, here comes the US of A. Russia and China got to be laughing their ass off at us. Dems are going to defend China to the bitter end because that's the anti-Trump thing to do. I really think the Democrats think they're just going to come in here and pick up all the pieces when it's all said and done. I mean, this is a trial run for them, and enough people seem to be just fine with it. After all, we are talking about a 2% mortality rate. This is TJ signing off with be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.